I'm going to read to you the 27th verses, numbers of song. Okay, the Lord is the light of my salvation. Whom should I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foe, come upon me and eat of my flesh, they stumble and fail. Though a host shall encamp around me, my heart shall not fear. Though war shall rise against me, in this will I be comforted. One thing I have desired of the Lord, that I will speak after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. I read to you Psalms 27, 1 through 4. May the Lord have a blessed readers, hearers, most of all, doers of his holy word. Amen.
I need thee, oh, I need thee. Every hour I need thee. Oh, bless me now, my Savior. I come to thee. I need thee, oh, I need thee. I praise because I see thee. Bless me now, my Savior. I love Lord, we come before you today. Yeah. Lifting up your one-word chorus. Father, we just want to come before you and thank you, Lord. Lord, we want to thank you for all the blessings that you have poured upon us. Lord, we want to thank you for what you're doing. Lord, we also want to thank you for what you're taking us through. Father, we thank you for bringing us through this hard time. Father, through the pandemic and giving us the strength. Lord, I thank you for every church, Lord, that's trying to open your name. Father, let touch you today and let your word go forth once more. Father, start us and get us going in the right direction. Bless everyone, Father, to the sound of my voice. Lord, we thank you today. Father, we thank you for this time. Father, we thank you for the love and mercy of you. Lord, you saw the goodness of your mercy and grace to touch us last this morning. The Son, still be there. You watched over us while we slept and slept there. Father, you kept us safe from all harm. Father, through your mercy and grace, you said your life will last. Lord, we did lay down that night. It did last this morning. So we want to thank you for another day. We want to thank you for this time. We want to thank you for all extra help and strength. We want to thank you for all the things you have done. Father, what we know without you. Nothing is possible. But with you, all things are possible. Father, we want to thank you for your grace and your mercy today, Father. Bless us, Father. Go forth your name. Let this service be uplifted. And Father, let it glorify you the way you would have it done. Father, take stuff up, Father. Let us open up to receive. Open our hearts and minds to take your word today. Let it, Father, bless us up and guide us. Strengthen us, Father. Father, touch us in all ways that you can. Father, we need you today. We magnify your name. Father, bless us when you can. And Father, we go for touch. Lord, touch everyone that's in the sound of my voice. The ones that are present, or the ones that may be looking in, or the ones that may watch later on. Father, touch them. Provide, Father, the way. Open our eyes to see. And our ears to hear what the Spirit has to say. Father, give us the strength to go forward to another week. And through your grace and your mercy that sees us through this time. Father, came through the pandemic because you saw it. Father, you kept us healthy and strong. Those who are sick, you healed their bodies. Father, those who have lost their way, you got straightened them up and pointed them in the right direction. All these things, Father, we know that you have done. We give you the glory. The majesty. Father, we thank you for what you brought us from. Hold us in your loving arms and take us forward in Jesus' name. Amen.
Come and go with me to my Father's house. Oh, to my Father's house. Oh, to my Father's house. Come and go with me to my Father's house. There is no Father's house. Oh, in my Father's house. Oh, in my Father's house. Come and go with me. In my Father's house. There is no
Starting next week, so I want to start doing it after the motion do the announcements.
Okay, you want me to do what?
Start doing the announcements.
He's gonna give you an announcement.
Start doing our announcements.
Okay, I don't know if I can say good, but I'll try.
Hey,
You'll see.
It's something you can
You
remember.
can do it.
Also,
You can do it. You don't look for reason not to.
you ain't got to read it.
So, I'm sure you can do that. By the help, Thomas, I don't ask.
yeah, I can do is try. Amen.
Amen. So, but we do with the announcements for the,
No, you can just tell them.
it's going to be, we're having our, like, history, my program this afternoon.
Our program.
Our,
You know, mine.
I know, I did.
You said my program.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I said.
Like you're gonna do it all alone.
I
Our.
thought I said ours. But we're going to be having our Black History program, today at 3:00. I say 3:00, and that way we can start at 3:30. And starting with the next 2 weeks. We've been the next 2 weeks, and the first Thursday in March, we will be having our roundtable program meeting, so our roundtable discussions. And you're invited to come in and be part of the discussions, that we would ask you questions. And what we'll be doing is we'll be taking questions. And you sit in and ask your questions and look for answers that sometimes you don't get a chance to do, or things that bother you, or things that you don't know that you'd like to find out. We're starting this on the first Thursday in March, and it'll be every Thursday. Every Thursday, from that poor home, the Lord give us strength. We're going to 4:35. 4:35. What did not hear?
Oh, 6.
6? I
Yeah,
thought
I'm
we
gonna
were
be back to my live 5.
making part about it.
It's time to get started.
Let me see.
Okay. Right now, it's going to be a 6, or we're talking about
It's
one
time
part
to
of
change,
it.
time to change next month.
Time
Yeah.
change next month anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do it so that it won't be dark, and we get back, and we spend an hour.
Yeah.
So we leave and get back, and then won't be nobody out too dark. Plus, we need a chance to get on board. Yes. So that's the 2 things we have. Remember our second Sunday fellowship, musical, every second Sunday at 3:00. And we have some other things that we're going to be planning. And I'm actually going to get their ideas and things together for our family and friends and other things that we're going to be doing this coming year. We need to go put our calendar together for the year, and I'll let you know what it is that you'll be looking forward to do. And don't look at me for everything.
No, don't look at me.
Yes, sir.
Did you mention about Saturdays too?
Saturday.
About to start.
Oh, Saturday Bible study
Yeah.
at 11:00 at Pastor Robinson on Hayes for.
Yeah.
Every Saturday morning, we join. It's been going on for the last 4 years, I think it is. We've been doing this almost 4 years now. But we have 11:00 Bible Sunday, Saturday morning Bible study at 11:00. So we have Facebook and YouTube, but it's always good to be there. That way you can get So those are our announcements for the week so far. Everybody, be looking to buy those. Is there anything else we're going to? Are you guys ready for your Black History today? I had asked you to have something to say. You ready?
Not now, but.
Oh, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about something. I'll always have
I don't
something.
know where you at, but she ready to do everything.
I told them, I even gave you guys some stuff.
I got one.
You got one?
What you gave me.
You can,
All right,
yeah,
you
that's fine.
do that one then. I gave it.
Just a little bit of it.
I just-
Your page.
Come on, let me have one. Let me have something.
We got 4 people. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 people.
All right, somebody give me,
6. Should I'm gonna have to make a.
all right, somebody give me one now.
1 now.
They're gonna have the thing now.
Okay, I got one.
Come on.
Did you know that cornrows, back in the day, in slavery days, they were actually maps to help the slaves find their way? And they also put rice inside the cornrows, so they'll have something.
All right.
All right, we know that.
Yeah, I did.
You get to say cornrows or
I just
the
forgot.
hairstyles in back in the day.
Yeah, it was a map.
There was maps. They for the runaway slaves to give them a map on how to get from one point to another.
Yeah.
And they were smart. No, they said don't give us credit. Because they're smart enough to know that when they get away, they're going to need something to eat.
All right.
So if they need to hit food inside the cornrows. That's what I'm talking about. That's something I didn't know. And the whole idea is there's too many things that we don't know about our own history. That's the problem we have today. We need to know more about what we have because we as people have a lot to offer.
Oh, yeah.
And had a lot to offer then and have a lot to offer now. So there was one I wanted to give you. Did you know who did the first open heart surgery?
It's a black man.
That was a black man. I'm trying to find his name and I can't do it.
Was it Dr. William
In Africa.
In that.
Dr. William Hale?
Dr. William Hale,
All right.
I think that's his name, was the first one that did, was the first open heart surgery that was done. That was done back in 1793. 1793, almost 200, over 200 years ago, that it was done. It was done by a black man. And we don't get the credit for it. And these are things that, the reason why I bring it, because there are things that we don't get credit for. We don't get credit for things that they've done. I'm trying to give it a second. The first vaccinations, the ability of how to vaccinate was done, came from Africa through a slave. But the slave that brought over showed him how to do it, showed his master how it was done during smallpox. His master by the name of Matheson took credit for it. But the idea, the concept had been done, was being done in West Africa for almost 280 years before it came to, but we didn't get it here until a slave decided to bring it on. So there's things that I have went through, and I'm sure that you may have heard, and like what Storage said, that I didn't even know. I heard something I didn't hear. I heard something about them putting food in certain spots of the body that they couldn't be detected. But cornrows now, we walk around now with cornrows, and that's just to put on the front, see how that good I look.
That's not true.
Let's the hair grow.
That's makes your hair, makes your hair.
Make your hair grow.
Oh, makes it grow.
Protective hairstyle.
I guess that's why mine kept growing, because they
Yeah.
kept braiding mine up.
Yeah, the grow.
I don't know why they wanted, they kept braiding mine up all the time too. And now I can't see out in the barber shop. I can go back again. But thank God, there's a lot of preachers walking around and have hair at all. So I thank God for what I do have.
Amen.
Because I wonder, I said, I thought when you said got to the point where if you're a preacher or pastor, you had to be up all day.
No, they didn't want the Cali, so they cut it all off.
But God is good. God is
Also,
good. We have to realize that God is in control of all things. Okay, so I can't find what I'm looking for now. So we're going to ask someone to just give us another song.
woke up this morning with my mind and I got it straight. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind and I got it straight. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind and I got it straight. Oh, Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Well, it ain't no harm to keep your mind, 'cause I got it straight for Jesus. Oh, it ain't no harm to keep your mind, 'cause I got it straight for Jesus. Oh, it ain't no harm to keep your mind. 'Cause I got saved for Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Well, I'm walking and talking with my mind. 'Cause I got it saved for Jesus. Oh, I'm walking and talking with my mind. 'Cause I got it. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I'm walking and talking with my mind. 'Cause I got it. Oh, Jesus. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
This way we're going to get ready to go into our word today. And does everybody have anything else? Okay, we're going to prepare to go into our word today. And I'm going to ask. Yeah, our word today is from my grandson got his ad on his phone, and I can hear him. That's all right. We're going to have the word today is going to be from Pastor A, because he's going to give us our word today. And we're going to ask him to come up now and tell us what it is the Lord has given us to say.
Amen. All right, praise the Lord.
Yeah, the Lord is good.
All the time.
We're coming this morning, I ain't gonna be long. We gonna talk about little things matter. You know, let's entreat the Lord first. Father, thank you for this time that we come to share in thy word. Bless every heart and mind. Let it become good ground, that we would receive the seed of thy word and bring forth good fruit unto good measure. We ask this in your name. Thank God. Amen. It is a usual thing that people discount stuff. You heard the term, does size matter?
Uh-huh.
That's asked a lot in a lot of different situations. Some people say yes, some people say no, but does it really matter? I think it's more important what you do with something
Right.
than how much it is. You've seen people do a lot with a little, and you've seen a lot of people do nothing with a lot. That's why we got borders. Stuff just stacked up everywhere, nothing to do with it. But in the book of Songs of Solomon and in the book of Proverbs, I'm going to read Songs of Solomon 2 and 15. Take us the foxes, the little foxes, that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. Proverbs 30, 24 to 28. There be 4 little things which are little upon the earth, but they are exceeding wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. The conies are for the feeble folk, yet make their houses in the rocks. The locusts have no king, yet they go forth all of them by bands. The spider taketh hold with her hands and is in kings' palaces. And finally, 1 Corinthians 12, 20 to 22. But now are they many members, yet but one body. And the eye cannot say unto the hand, I have no need of thee. Nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary. Too often times people take that position, I don't need
I don't.
you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need nobody. I don't need a woman. I don't need a man. I mean, we come up with a whole lot of I don't need. You know, I don't need a lot of money. I don't need a car. Well, that's the excuse most people say when they don't have something. And they want you to not, they want you to think that they don't feel bad about what they don't have. But it's all, it's a lie. Okay. That's what it is. They're trying to cover up to make it look as though they're not affected by what they don't have, but they are affected. It was just a little lie. It was just a little money. It was just a little bit early before quitting time. It was just a little late. It was just a little dent. You ain't got to call police. I can't hardly see that dent. It was just a little short. It was almost what I owed you. But that little lie caused some big problems. That little bit of money didn't belong to you. That quitting a little bit early before quitting time, you stealing time from your employer. Being a little late can make you miss out on a big prize. Ask those 5 foolish virgins that showed up just a little late. It was just a little late, but the door was locked. I was just a little late, Mom. Boy, I told you if you ain't here by a certain time, I'm locking the door. But Mama, I'm gonna sleep. Ain't nothing to do with me. You're late. Should have been here on time. It was just a little bit. Why you got to call the police? Because you ain't gonna pay for it. Because if you said it's a little dent, that means you said, I didn't cost you that, but don't get it fixed. Don't worry about it. We just don't. No. It was just a little short. I know I owe you more. I'm glad they paid you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Whippy. Everybody got that whippy out here. I'm just a little short. Well, the foxes represent the problems which beset and destroy the vine. It's a representation of Satan attacking the covenant of love between God and his people. Now, in Palestine, the keepers of the vineyards would always be on watch to look out for the destruction of the vines. The watchman would be in the tower watching down on the vineyard, and he ain't looking for the big villains, because it was the little foxes that destroyed the vine. Sometimes we're looking for the big enemy, and it ain't the big enemy. Matter of fact, sometimes we're looking at the big kids, it's the little ones. That's all the trouble. The little one, he gonna snatch something and then go run like, he being chased. He just snatch something from the big ones.
That little feisty one.
Yeah. Now watch out for the little ones. The task of working through problems and difficulties that come upon us requires determination and responsibility. We tend to concentrate our efforts more on our problems more than the solutions. And when we do look at the problems, we look for the bigger things and forget about looking at the little problems. Okay, it was a little leak in the radiator. Caused my car to overheat and blew up my engine. A little leak that I could have stopped a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was a little leak, and I let it go too long, and I overworked the thermostat, I overworked the hose, and the hose had a little leak, and because I didn't fix it, it finally overheated and blew up the hose, and the water blew out, and before I could get off the freeway, I blew up the engine. It was a little problem.
Was.
We look at the larger things in life and leave the little ones take care of themselves. Have you ever even thought about those of you who are in debt, that the best way to get out of debt is not to tackle your big bills first, but pay off all your little ones?
Right.
You got all these little bills, and you worried about paying the big ones, and I got to get rid of this big bill, and I got to eliminate that, but every month you're trying to pay that big bill, but now the credit done went bad because you missed payment on 10 little.
Yeah, right.
You could have taken half of a big bill and paid off half of them little ones, and then paid the big one, and then next month pay off the rest of them little ones. Don't have them no more.
Right.
Then you can start dealing with the big problems.
That's it.
We spend too much time trying to worry about the big problems. It's the little problems that get us in trouble. If those $300 credit cards are worse on you than the $2,000 credit card. Because they had, if you have a bunch of them $300 ones, you can't buy nothing on hardly. Matter of fact, I've seen people in the store trying to buy an item. And, can I split it between 3 cards?
Yeah.
Okay, put $250 on this one. Let's see. Hold on. Let me check my phone. Yeah, put $300 on that one. Let's see. Put $150 on that one. Oh, you 40 more? I think I got 40.
I think I got 8 over here.
See, watch this. So we concentrate our efforts and energy on larger things and leave the little things to take care of themselves. We fill up the car with gas, but how often do you check your oil?
That's right.
How often do you check the transmission fluid?
And your water.
How often do you check your brake fluid?
Yeah.
We check the water level in the windshield wiper,
Don't.
but we don't check the water in the radiator till it boils over. I'd rather have my radiator full of water than the windshield washer.
That's right.
We look for bargains and sales, trying to save money. But do we think of leaving lights on in the room when nobody's in the room?
Come on now.
TV on all.
Leaving the TV on, you trying to preach my message? Leaving the TV on, my message. Leaving the TV on when nobody's watching.
There you go.
Leaving the radio on, there ain't nobody even listening to it.
Yeah, right.
I just need to have some noise in the house. How about leaving the iron on and ain't nobody iron?
Right.
They thought irons now go off on their own. You know, most of the irons you buy now, they stay on for a certain amount of period. If you don't use them, they'll go off. We pay our rent or our mortgage payment on time, but we only pay our tithes when it's convenient. Uh-oh.
All right.
We some of us who hold to the line say we wouldn't dare be caught smoking, smoking drugs, taking drugs, drinking, and getting drunk, but we don't think nothing of gossiping and backbiting.
All right.
Little things.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was just telling what I heard. The gospel. But it was reported to me. Well, everything is reported to you. And you ain't listening. If you haven't verified what you going around telling other folks that was told to you, you lying just like them.
Right.
Well, I didn't know. So-and-so told me. Oh, so you just thought it was okay to tell it and you didn't know it wasn't true?
And then tell it right in there.
And yeah, didn't tell it right because you know how they go. Everybody add to the story. By the time they get down the line, the story will totally change.
Yes.
It's a totally change. We won't even entertain the thought of going out and partying and drinking, but we won't obey our leaders. Gambling, stealing, and killing are the furthest things from my thoughts. But what about envy, strife, reviling? That's talking down about other people. And neglect seems to be the order of the day. How many of us will talk about folks who commit sin but never acknowledge the stuff we omit to do? Stuff that we should have done, that we didn't do. Don't you know you can be as guilty of doing wrong when you omit to do what you should have done? What did he say to the man? This you ought to have done and not leave the other undone.
All right.
You don't get away because you didn't do it. Well, I didn't do it. Yeah, but you was there. You saw them doing it. You didn't stop them. Our biggest fault seems to be not presumptuous sin, but simply failing to do good when we should. I knew they was having trouble. I know I should have helped. But then I was busy. Busy. I was busy. Busy what? Busy what? You were just busy being busy. Doing nothing. I'm busy. Remember that the Bible says, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth not, to him is sin.
Right.
So that's a sin of what? Omission. If I know to do good and don't do it, I'm wrong. So pass by people. And there are some people really in need. You got some people out there. The other day, a young man came up to me and he says, bro, I'm hungry, man. Just trying to get a little something. Get something to eat, man. You got like quarter. I said, man, you can't buy nothing with a quarter. I said, I just bought a breakfast sandwich right there. I said, you want a sandwich? Well, no, bro. See, I just ate it. Somebody just gave me a sandwich, bro. I just need a quarter, go give me something. I said, bro, you just asked me for some food. You eat. I offered to buy you something.
That's what they do.
Well, bro, I don't want nothing else to eat. But just don't be asking for money to eat. Right. And so I turned around and walked away. And then one of the guys working when you come out, and the guy asked him, and he wouldn't give him. I said, don't give him that. I just offered to buy him the food. He told me he asked me for money for food when I told him I'd buy him something. He said, no, he won't buy him some drink. I said, so don't give him nothing. If you're legitimate, I got a problem helping him. But the saying goes this. I was taught this by an older gentleman. He says, you can't con a con. You can't pimp a pimp. You can't hustle a hustler. You can't lie to a liar. You can't steal from a thief.
It's been there and done that.
Don't come around running no game, on the game. It ain't gonna work. A little thing, most of the critical things in life started out as little things. A little acorn becomes a big oak tree. A little seed becomes a mustard plant. A little idea becomes a big invention. And it's usually a little argument that turns into a war. Y'all started out in a little disagreement. Next thing you know, she's throwing pots and pans. Slanging words she don't even know how to spell.
Well,
Walking all over me.
And he calling you stuff he'd never called his mama. A little argument starts a big war. It takes little drops to make a pond that finally flow into a river, become a big ocean or a sea. Little grains of sand that form the Sahara Desert. It's the littlest temptations that cause us to commit the biggest of sins. And finally, it just takes a little spark to burn up a forest and destroy all them houses. We tend to believe that it is the larger action of the larger effect, but we must learn not to despise Zechariah 4:10. Don't despise the day of small things. A little smile is all it takes to get rid of a big frown. Just a little patience can prevent a rash or hasty mistake. A little kindness can go a long way, making a glad heart. A little bit of love can dispel a whole lot of hatred and bitterness. And finally, a little bit of prayer can do more good than a whole lot of complaints. We spend more time complaining about our problems and complaining about our situations than we do contemplating solutions. If I could spend more time figuring out how I'm going to get out of this, instead of complaining about what I done got myself into. Consider the benefits of little things according to the Bible. Psalm 37:16, a little that a righteous man hath is better than the riches of many wicked. Proverbs 15:16, better is little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble therewith. Verse 17, better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a stalled ox and hatred there. Have you ever been to one of them gatherings where everybody mad at each other, all this good food out there, and ain't nobody eating because everybody arguing? Lord Jesus, that's some of the worst family gatherings you know.
right. Tension.
Got tension. This group mad at that group, and somebody trying to mediate, but they mad at the mediator, and the mediator had nothing to do with the problem. Galatians 5:9. A little leaven in the whole lump. It only takes one wrong person in your group to infect other members of the group. Folk who wasn't mad at you before mad at you now and don't even know why.
Somebody say,
Y'all were just speaking. Here's somebody coming on saying something. I don't like him because he gets so. Now, so you get mad. I do nothing to you. What you mad about? Matter of fact, they didn't do nothing to them. They had a misunderstanding and blamed it on me. Little yeast spreads quickly through the whole batch of dough. That's why a little leaven will leaven the whole lump. You don't need a lot of yeast. My grandmother used to bake. They used to make them yeast rolls. And you know, I see her measuring everything out, and she get the dough already, and she just take a little bit of that yeast, mixing in there. And I said, you ain't use much of that. She said, Junior, it ain't gonna take much. And when she put it in that oven, that yeast, it can infect the whole loaf. Just think about what a lot of yeast would have done. In our text, we have 4 little ones that succeed not because of, but in spite of their size. Some folks say, we ain't got enough members, so we can't do so and so. Well, you got some big churches, they doing what the little ones do.
Just that.
The little churches doing more feeding than big churches. Little folks doing more helping folks than the big ones. Instead of using your size as a crutch or an excuse, use it as an advantage. By nature, they are handed lemons, but by wisdom, they learn to make lemonade. I remember being chosen as the student of the semester when I was in college getting my accounting degree. And they had this, took a picture of me and all and asked me to write an article for the school paper. And I wrote my article on the subject when life gives you lemons. I told them about growing up in the projects. Mother and father separated and divorced. My mother with 4 children, 19 years old, raising us. My mother and father eventually remarried, but it was 12 years in between. But in that 12 years, I told them the lesson that I learned, all the lemons that life dealt, my mama always knew how to make lemonade. I grew up in the project, but I wasn't living in the project when I got my degree. I wasn't living in the project no more. I learned how to make lemonade with the lemons life was giving me.
Yeah.
You gotta learn how to don't let your size. I was a pretty good basketball player and played some football pretty well, but it wasn't because of my size. Everybody picked me because I knew how to play.
That's it.
You ain't gotta always be the biggest man. Spud Webb was 5'7" and was one of the first men under 6 feet to win the slam dunk contest. Won it 2 years in a row. 5'7", and could jump up and slam. Matter of fact, the other day at age 47, they showed him he was one of the teams that he's a part of, and the guys were out there playing ball, and he told one of the guys, give him some advice. The guy said, "Oh man, you little man, you can't shoot no ball no more. You're too old." And he had on his street shoes. Took his suit jacket off and handed it to one of the guys next to him. He said, "Give me the ball, boy." He got the ball and he ran over with the ball, jumped up, dunked it. At 47, 5'7", still dunking. He said, "Nah, take that." See, don't let the small taste fool. Don't let the small size fool you. Too often people discount themselves because of what they don't have, and they don't understand that it's not about what I don't have, it's about what I do with what I do have. The ant picks up crumbs, everybody else leaves by the wayside. They think it's too little. But the ants, look at the ants sometimes. They crawling away in a line. But every time you see them coming back, everybody got something.
That's right.
And they dump that out, and it's a line coming out.
I ain't going back.
No line going back.
I watch that.
Every time they come back, they dumping what they collected. They coming back out. You see a loaf of bread by the time they get through. What happened to the loaf? They're all taking a little piece at a time.
Yep.
And they all going, when you get through that whole loaf, they got moved from there to there. And what happened, the Bible says, was in the wintertime, grasshopper starves and dies because the grasshopper, he ain't went out there and worked, so he dies while the ants are in there.
Yeah.
And they watching the movie, got their snacks, and the title of the movie is, The Grasshopper on the Frozen Tundra. He out there frozen to death, and the ants watching the movie. Eating up the food they gathered in the summer. They eat while others are starving. The coney is a miniature rabbit. The conies can go through the rocks in the cliffs and in the hills where they live. Others can't fit in there, but when their enemies are chasing them, they go in the cracks big animals can't get to them. They little, but they survive.
Yeah.
The locusts, they're individual beings and they have no leader, but when they want to go against an enemy and conquer them, they gather together in one large swarm and they will devour their enemy because they know how to work together. Right. The locust, the spider is able to take a small flimsy web. They use it to trap food. They use it to travel from place to place. Right. They even use it to construct hiding places and to escape detection from their enemies. How many of us are always talking about what we don't have, what we wish we had, what we can't do, what we wish we could do, but never try to do what we can with what we have because we're too busy complaining about what we don't have.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing in here to eat. Okay, I remember saying that one time. Mama went in the kitchen and we got through. She had a whole meal. I thought it wasn't nothing in here to eat, boy. Mm-hmm. Well, because I didn't see what I wanted. Right. Learn how to put stuff together with what you got.
That's right.
Or else you'll starve to death. The lesson to us in these 4 examples is: it is not how large you are. It is not how much you have. It is not how much you possess. It is in how you use whatever you possess. Life is not made up of great sacrifices or acts of duty. It is made up of many little things like a smile, an act of kindness, small obligations. And if given as a matter of habit, you'll win hearts of many and you'll secure the comfort of a lot of people, and a fine people will come to your rescue. A little more patience, a little more charity, a little more devotion, just a little more love. I think we spend too much time trying to wait for people to love us instead of just loving the people. Because see, love is what love does. And if you give love, love will come back. Just a little bit of light in a dark room helps you find your way. Just a little bit of light in your life will bring some happiness. You remember the story of Elijah and the widow of Zarephath? She was prepared to take the last of her meal, make a cake for herself and her son, then lay down and die. But Elijah showed up at the door. And all he asked is, make me a cake first. She decided to obey, and God did the rest. She fed the prophet, and then she and her son ate. Now, how did she feed the prophet and then she and her son ate when it was only enough for her and her son to share? But they didn't die because God provided for them to live on because of the kindness she did for the man of God. Your little kindness is something God giving you a big reward. And God will do for you and help you if you commit to your small things and care for them as you would be. How do you expect God to bless you with a bigger house if you ain't taking care of the little house you had? I should have said. All right. I ain't cleaned up my little house and I want a bigger house. Mm-hmm. Make a bigger mess. You're going to have a bigger mess. That's it. If you can't keep your little house clean, right. What makes you think? See, God doesn't just give you stuff for you to mess it up. Yeah, God blessed me with a big house. He said, okay, as soon as you fix up the little one you won't keep it clean. You won't take care of it. You won't get nothing fixed there. You want a bigger house. If he gives you more, you have more responsibility. To whom much is given, much is required. Commit the small things in the care of the big hands of God, because little becomes much when you place it in the master's hand. Little things may not matter, but little things do matter. My last story, a little boy, they were trying to build a bridge across the divide, America and Canada, and they couldn't figure out how to get the wire across. True story. Little boy took an arrow, tied a string on it, shot the arrow to the other side. He tied the wire on the rope and he pulled it back. Then he tied a bigger wire on that one. He pulled that back. And they kept doing it back and forth until finally they had wire big enough to start making a bridge. What if the little boy had to shot that little arrow with that little string? There were some people standing there. What is he doing with that little bitty rope? We're trying to get this big wire across. We're trying to figure it out. While they were trying to figure it out, the little arrow with the little string and the little boy was solving their big problem. So y'all with your little problems that you call it big problems, start looking for some little solutions to your big problems. Because little becomes much. We can place it in the master's hand.
Amen.
Little things matter.
God bless you.
Just like how we talk about something done with the I keep it the phone, I get it.
Yeah, it's so true. Don't take much. You get a whole lot done. That ties into the message that we're going to do this afternoon. I'm going to do this afternoon. It's entitled, "The Bible wouldn't exist without you." There would be no Bible without black folk. So, don't look at it like that. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that the Bible would not exist without us. Amen. With that, I will receive our offering. And we're going to return out and return this afternoon. Whatever you have to do to come back. I am not going to have this song. I think what to do that. Just like my daddy. This afternoon. See, my dad, LS, I only seen him in a suit twice. I've only seen him wearing slacks twice. Every time I saw him, he got a cap, got a cover on. And a lot of times, one strap was hanging down.
That's how they roll.
But my daddy worked, he was a working man. And he continued to work. He blessed him.
Father, bless the offering that we receive, bless the hands of the giver and receive, bless the purpose of what you give. Return unto them according to thy word. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. So we're going to get ready to turn over. My grandkids are singing songs this afternoon too. And see, it sounded pretty good yesterday. Amen. But yeah, I enjoyed that message. Don't take a whole lot. Thank God for the Pastor Dickinson. Daniel, where he did, he took a load off me. He did Sunday school, he did such a great message. I gave you a break, and I appreciate it. And we appreciate you all. We're going to go dismissed, and we're going to go to our destination of access. We're looking back on time this afternoon, so we can get in and do what the Lord wants to do, and be back and get out. So we're going to take a whole lot of time to do what God wants us to do. So next Sunday, we'll be back next Sunday. 10 o'clock, please. So this by 10, please, for Sunday school.
We can go back at 9:45.
And we're going to 9:45, but I think that's it. Now we can go back to the other church that was just not here tomorrow. So
Feed them and dress
we have 30 little ones we got to get the other one. We're not as young as we used to be.
them. Be too much.
9:40, but no later than 10. So we can, let's get started, but that's all right. Sunday, we're gonna be starting anyway.
Yep.
So we are
Time
going
waits
to,
on no one.
we're working it out. We're working it out. So we're gonna go ahead and do what we have to do, and thank God for it. We're being blessed that this thing, this pandemic we're coming out of. So we can start doing things that we need to do. We thank God for it, and those who are about, we are free to join us here at 10810 Bancroft Avenue in the city of Oakland to join us on Sunday mornings. And we would have a good time. I was told last Sunday that after the program last Sunday, one of my friends walked up to me and said, God told me to fill this house. I said, well, God told you. And I'm waiting to see. But these brothers and folks, so we're gonna fill this house and get back to doing the things that we have to do. I think we said it last the other night, we gotta reboot. We need to reboot this thing. The pandemic shut down. Now we have to, the church has to reboot.
Got to come.
And we have to reprogram. Sometimes we have to go to say turn the phone off every once in a while till they turn it back on. Last Sunday, we were stuck here, and I was stuck here until about 7:30 last Sunday because the car was started. But the AAA driver, the last AAA tow truck driver that came out and took my key out of pulled the key out of the push button start. Went in the glove compartment, stuck it in there, and pushed the button, started up, pulled it back out, and said it had to reboot. So let's reboot it.
Amen.
And get started. So we're gonna go on out and leave, get set over just in case Bishop will be in. So we can have that service. So we're gonna leave. Let's say that we discuss. Pastor Dixon, the last word.
All righty. Father, thank you for blessing us. Thank you for what our ears have heard and pray that every heart receive. Now, God, we ask that you would continue to keep us and watch over us and protect us. Help us to return at the appointed time. We give you the glory, the honor, and praise. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. When I say the one, I say the all. Don't just be careful.
Don't just be careful.
Be careful.
Be careful. Amen.
You can't fix it, give it the talk. Yes, ma'am.